Hello everyone, welcome to the best place for the best takes. I'm Benjamin Cure. This is the Benjamin Cure Show. We got an excellent Week 2 in the NFL regular season, an even better Week 3 coming up. Starts tonight with Thursday Night Football, Steelers-Browns. I'll talk more about it. I'll talk about the football narratives, Trey Lance, Jimmy G's taking over. But first, I do want to address basketball. Breaking news overnight. Boston Celtics head coach Ime Udoka is possibly going to face suspension for an entire year, the entire 2022 to 2023 season, after violating the team's conduct policies. Now, personal conduct policies have been all the talk lately in sports, especially with the Deshaun Watson situation in the NFL. We are seeing it once again play out in the NBA. I have some quick thoughts on it. We don't know all the information right now. I was listening to Stephen A. this morning on First Take. He insinuated that there's a lot more to the story. I definitely trust him. A lot of people are calling him out, saying that he probably doesn't know what he's talking about. He's been around sports for a long time. He's got sources in that building. He knows that there's stuff that has yet to come out. I just saw Twitter right before I came onto the show. I saw that some former NBA players were saying we don't know the full story. So I think there is a lot of context still missing in this because what we know right now is that it was a consensual relationship, and while that does violate workplace policies, it's not enough for the 1 year. Something is clearly going on in the franchise and the organization. There's a lot of information being withheld from us as the public. It's a weird situation because, Stephen A. mentioned it right off the bat on First Take. Why are we hearing about this? If they're not going to fire him, and if they plan on keeping him, why are we hearing about this? This is a situation that seems to be like it should have been dealt with in absolutes. Either you handle it in-house, you're going to take care of it in-house, and you're not going to leak anything out, or you're going to fire him, and that's why you're leaking this out. But as I've said on this show before, stuff doesn't get out unless the organization wants it out. And let's be honest, we're talking about Boston here. This is not Los Angeles. This is not New York. Some big-time reporter is not leaking this out from halfway across the country. Someone inside the Boston Celtics is leaking all this information out at practically 12 midnight, 1 in the morning, and now we're still talking about it. We don't have all the information. And as somebody who's trying to cover this, along with plenty of others, it's a little bit frustrating to me. We don't know what is going on. Clearly, there is a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that will come out. We could hear news about the official suspension for the entire season as soon as today is what we're being told. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to dive too deep into this when we really don't know what we're talking about. We don't have all the facts, so I'm going to leave it at that for now. It is something that I'll probably definitely circle back to next week, but for now, we're going to lay that topic to rest. Amongst all the great storylines and headlines in Week 2 of the NFL season, we did have some devastating ones, one of those being Trey Lance. It looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the regular season, at least with an ankle injury. He underwent a successful surgery earlier this week. We're wishing him all the best in his recovery. But in this kind of situation, it's important to note that two things can be true. One, you can feel absolutely awful for Trey Lance, as we all do, for not only cutting his season short, but really destroying any chance of his development in this season. A time that he needed to grow, to get better. I was very critical of him last week. Obviously, he has a lot of work to do if he's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. These first few years are essential in that development, and it feels like it's being cut off and that opportunity is being taken away from him by a devastating and unexpected injury. The second thing that can be true, the 49ers are waking up today a better team than they were last week with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. You don't have to take my word for it. You know my stance on Jimmy Garoppolo. Look at the video. Look at the replays of the team and of the O-line celebrating with Jimmy Garoppolo after he scored that first touchdown. It's a response that I've never seen. It was pure enthusiasm, pure excitement. The team was slamming him on the helmet, but unlike anything I'd ever seen, the excitement was radiating through that team, through that roster at that moment. And Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't help but smile and laugh. Because the fact of the matter is that the 49ers are Jimmy Garoppolo's team. The team knows they have a better chance of winning now with Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's all that matters to them. Football, at the highest level like the NFL, is a sport that unfortunately, even with all the safety protocol, takes years off your life. You don't see defensive linemen or quarterbacks or O-linemen living to 90, are 95 or 100 years old. It is a sport that takes a toll on your mind, on your body, on your very being. These guys know that their career, even for the best ones, isn't very long. You're not going to see a defensive lineman playing for 20 years like he's Tom Brady, going into their 23rd season. That is an anomaly. That's unheard of. That's why we consider Brady, just because of his longevity, to be the GOAT. Because it's unheard of. But for the guys who are on the defensive lines, who are on the front lines of that game, who are putting their body on the line, not just during games, but during practice, when they're at home, when they're doing exercises, when they're stretching, to tell them, hey, we think this franchise can be better 5 years from now, 3 years from now, with a guy like Trey Lance. He's not as good right now. He's not as good as Jimmy Garoppolo, but he can get us there, and he can win us a Super Bowl. No normal player who's on a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year contract, who knows that this career is not very long, is worried about the future. They're worried about next week, and when it comes to football, they're not worried about more than a year from now. What are we going to do this season? Can we win? Can we win games? Can we make it to the playoffs? Can we achieve the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl? The only thing they're worried about 5 years in advance is their investments, is their family at home. They're not thinking about the future of a franchise who could cut them, trade them, or say, hey, you're not good enough, we're moving off you. So that locker room, the entire offseason, while watching Jimmy Garoppolo practice on a different field, knew the entire time, man, Jimmy's just better. Jimmy Garoppolo is just better. I've got a mention of Jimmy Garoppolo in my next story, and I don't want to spoil it because I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. But Jimmy Garoppolo is very clearly capable of running things in Kyle Shanahan's offense. I discussed this last week. I've said it before. I will reiterate it again. Kyle Shanahan is a brilliant coach. He is 1A, 1B with Sean McVay as the best, most creative coaches in the league. What makes Kyle Shanahan so unique? Well, I want to start off by saying this as well, something I haven't mentioned before. Kyle Shanahan beat Sean McVay in a regular season matchup with Nick Mullins as his quarterback. Why is that, Ben? Because Kyle Shanahan has a very unique offensive game plan that is almost non-existent in today's NFL. It's one that can succeed without an elite quarterback, without a superstar, without a Patrick Mahomes, without a Josh Allen, without an Aaron Rodgers, without a Tom Brady, without a Russell Wilson. In a league that is dominated by quarterback play, do you know how hard it is to do that? Yet Kyle Shanahan does it. He needs someone who will follow his orders, who will put the ball where it needs to be, and will not try to be the hero on every play. But when it's time to throw that long ball, when it's time to go for it on fourth down, when it's time to go for it on a 3rd and 8 and get that completion, get that first down, when you're down by one possession, Jimmy Garoppolo is perfectly capable of that. Because Jimmy Garoppolo today is a better quarterback than Trey Lance. And he fits into the situation way better than Trey Lance. Trey Lance's development is going to be cut short, and it's devastating for him. I don't want to knock that, and I don't want to make it seem like we're not supporting him. But at the end of the day, look at the reaction of the players in that locker room, and after Jimmy scored that touchdown, they know that it's Jimmy's team. You know what? I want to talk about this. We don't talk about gambling odds very often on this show, but Vegas never loses. The house never loses. So tell me why, if, like everybody is saying out there, the 49ers are worse with Jimmy Garoppolo. You think that? Then why did BetMGM, why did Caesars Palace, why did Bellagio, why did the odds improve suddenly for the 49ers for the rest of the season? For Super Bowl odds, for winning percentage. Why? I think if you're going to trust anybody in this situation, you should trust what the house thinks. Because everybody knows, yeah, Trey Lance passes the eye test. He looks so damn good when he runs that ball. He's a pure athlete, and we love him for that. But he is not a better NFL quarterback today than Jimmy Garoppolo. He is not a better Kyle Shanahan product quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. And that team has a much better chance of winning now and in the postseason and in the Super Bowl if they make it that far with Jimmy G at the helm. So the fact of the matter is, for all those this entire week who have been saying the 49ers are worse off today, that Deebo Samuel's production is going down, that George Kittle will not be as good, that the offense will not move the chains as well. Why is Vegas saying what they're saying? And you know what? I'm the type that's putting my money where my mouth is. I'm going to talk about this right now. I'm in a fantasy football league. I have Justin Herbert in one of my leagues. He suffered a nasty injury last week. I don't know if they're going to start him this weekend or not. It seems like they will. But if they don't, my backup quarterback is Jimmy Garoppolo. I am starting him over Derek Carr, over Kirk Cousins, over anyone else. Because I know what Jimmy Garoppolo is capable of. Now, in the past, I've been accused of falling in love with my players, but the stats don't lie. Forget the player. Forget the image. Forget the relatability of an athlete. Look at what Jimmy Garoppolo has done. Look at his winning percentage. Look at his resume. Look at what he has achieved. You cannot ignore that and tell me that Trey Lance is the better option today over Jimmy Garoppolo. Like I said at the beginning of the show, week 2 of the NFL regular season was so exciting. It was jam-packed. It felt like a great action movie like Mission Impossible. It gave us a lot of answers, but it also raised a lot of questions. And I want to start with the Bengals-Cowboys game. The Bengals were going into this game after a rough loss to the Steelers in overtime, and everybody thought, oh, Joe Burrow's not going to have 2 bad performances, 2 back-to-back losses, especially not to start the season. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, a better running game than the Cowboys, a better offensive front, not necessarily better offensive line, because that is just tragic. But you know what? They'll get it done. They'll find a way to get it done. They're the Super Bowl runner-ups, for Christ's sakes. They can't be that bad. And Dallas doesn't even have Dak Prescott. Dallas has a bad offensive line, the worst they've had in years, and at the helm is not even their franchise quarterback. Instead, it's Cooper Rush. Nah, they can't. They can't possibly beat the Bengals in week 2. Yet the NFL provides us with some amazing games, some amazing moments, and upsets. That's why it is so unpredictable. As we know, the Cowboys won. And it calls into question what we know and what we feel comfortable saying about Dak Prescott. So, earlier this week, an idol of mine, someone who I truly admire in this space, Colin Cowherd, was on his show The Herd on FS1. And he was talking about how he went to a school, I think it was sometime during the summer or sometime during this month, and how he always gives young broadcasters the same advice. If you want to grow, you got to be controversial. And if you want to be controversial, throw facts at people. Because people, when they see facts and numbers, they want to refute it. There's immediately a combativeness to it. So I accepted Colin Cowherd's challenge. He was talking about Dak Prescott and his passer rating and his overall ability, and I decided to do the same. I took a deeper look. Dak Prescott's career passer ratings is a 96.2. Now, that's a relatively good passer rating. But let's look at the guys who also have that passer rating who don't nearly have the same amount of respect or notoriety as Dak. I feel like as America's team's quarterback, Dak Prescott is babied by the national media. People really don't go in on him that often. I aim to do that today and bring a little bit of perspective to the situation. So I want to start with Gardner Minshew. Career passer rating of 93.9. Still 5 points below Dak. Matt Ryan, career passer rating of 93.9. You're seeing it on your screen now. Credit of StatMuse. Kirk Cousins. We think of him as, a choker on prime time. Can't get it done on Monday night. He's just awful. We watched it once again against the Eagles on Monday Night Football this past week. He was being slandered once again. We talk about Kirk Cousins being a guy who's been totally overpaid throughout his career. You know what his passer rating is? 98.3. You're seeing it on your screen right now. Dak Prescott, reminder for those just listening to the show, 98.2. Kirk Cousins is statistically better in the passer rating category throughout his career than Dak Prescott. But we actively disrespect Kirk Cousins. We say he's not that guy. He's like a fake franchise quarterback. Nah, he can't get it done. He can't win. But we treat Dak with this respect to the Cowboys. The starting quarterback of the Cowboys, the franchise leader, $160 million being committed to that man from a young age. He's our future. But he has the same, almost identical stats when it comes to touchdown and interception ratio as well as Kirk Cousins, who we actively disrespect all the time and denounce and talk about as not being that guy? For reference, I wanted to bring another Cowboys quarterback into this, Tony Romo, who, contrary to Dak, while he was in Dallas, had an awful offensive line. It was getting hit nonstop. Dak, up until before the season, has always had a great Dallas offensive line. And he has a career passer rating of what, 96.2? Tony Romo, 97.1. Tony Romo, who was slandered his entire career by non-Cowboy fans and by Cowboy fans, is just 1 point shy of Dak Prescott's passer rating. This is the cherry on top. You want to know who has a passer rating of 98.9? The man who the NFL loves to hate, Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, I said it in my last segment. I was going to bring him up again. Jimmy Garoppolo leads those names with a passer rating throughout his career of 98.9. Colin Cowherd, challenge accepted. I think people are going to be mad about this one. The guy that everyone loves to hate, that loves to say is not a franchise quarterback, is not that guy, should have already been replaced, that they threw off the bus for Trey Lance for 3 first-round picks, that's what it took to get Trey Lance. Yet he leads all those names. Some legends, some historically underachieving. Whatever your perception is, Dak Prescott is not as good as you give him respect for being. At the beginning of his career, when he was first coming into the league, he had an elite Ezekiel Elliott and an elite offensive line. If there was any doubt prior to the play, once the play started to break down, once he got that snap, just hand it off. Give it to the guy, Ezekiel Elliott. He'd get it done for you. After that, Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Come on. Still had a relatively good Zeke. As Zeke has started to get worse over the years, Tony Pollard came into the mix. Not to mention an excellent defensive front that has only gotten better somehow since he got there. It feels like Dallas just finds a way to spend big money on players. And while it's not always in the right position, Dallas brings in stars. Micah Parsons is not to be messed with. Trayvon Diggs, for as many risks as he takes, is an elite corner and gets the job done. He gets turnovers. What are we doing? Why do we give Dak this pedestal? Why do we give him this respect when at the end of the day, he is in line statistically with the guys that we disrespect the most, the guys that we dismiss the most, the guys that we don't want leading our franchise? I don't want Kirk Cousins to be my quarterback. I'm a fan. I'm watching a game on Sunday. I'm going to the stadium. I don't want to watch Kirk Cousins. I want to watch Tom Brady. I want to watch Josh Allen. I want to watch Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to watch Jimmy Garoppolo or Gardner Minshew or Matt Ryan. Well, guess what? Dak is right there with all those guys. A little bit above some of them, but below some of the others. So ask yourself, is Dak really the guy in Dallas? Did they make the right decision? Because to me, Dallas is falling apart. Inside the front office with Jerry Jones, they're out of touch, they're out of sync. They paid Ezekiel Elliott too much, too early, and they paid Dak too much, too late. Out of sympathy, because they didn't give him a contract earlier. And they could have saved themselves tens of millions of dollars had they just paid him. But then the injury happened. Everybody felt sympathy for him. Jerry felt the need to do him right. Jerry had the money to do so. And now Dallas finds himself in this situation. I am by no means saying that Cooper Rush is a franchise quarterback. I am simply presenting to you the facts. The quarterback classes coming out of college football are not as deep as they were 5 years ago. I was talking about this with a friend of mine the other day. Man, we were so lucky for the last 5-8 years. Just to name a few names from the last couple years. Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, Marcus Mariota a little bit before that, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa. Now we've got Bryce Young. That's going to slow down. As you are seeing right now, that is slowing down big time. Even the Gators QB, who we thought was going to be a star week one and everybody overreacted to, is clearly showing that he has his limits. If a team has a so-so quarterback right now, I genuinely worry for you. Because what are we looking at right now in college football? Who's coming out of the draft? Arch Manning, who's still in high school. Quinn Ewers, who just got injured. That's two guys. Two guys that I can say are franchise quarterbacks that have that potential. Sure, others will come along. They'll grow, they'll develop. But this is not what it was 5 years ago. It's not what it was 1 year ago or 2 years ago. The elite quarterback level that was coming out of college is going to see a little bit of a dip. Because, yes, everybody right now wants to be a quarterback, wants to be a wide receiver, wants to be on the offensive side of the ball. But the talent level, after so many great recent years, is sure to drop off. And I'm predicting it now, it's going to. So the Cowboys are in a tough spot with a guy that is injury prone, I think we can say now, who has unfortunately had some not so good luck, who maybe, this is tough to admit, is not your guy, is not the guy, is not the franchise quarterback for America's team, who can't take you that far. Not when Jalen Hurts is popping off within his own division. This will be a storyline that will play out. We will get to see what Dak really is. But for right now, I'm showing you those stats. Gardner Minshew, 93.9. Matt Ryan, 93.9. Dak Prescott, 98.2. But right above him, Kirk Cousins, 98.3. And Jimmy Garoppolo leading the pack, 98.9. Career passer rating. Love them, hate them, they are facts. And these facts do not care about your feelings. So what's going on this week in the NFL? Week 3 of the NFL season kicks off tonight with the Steelers versus the Browns on Amazon. I'm going to be really excited to watch. By the way, I thought they had a great broadcast. They definitely know what they're doing. Al Michaels was great. Fitzmagic was great. I loved seeing Kirk Herbstreit in that color commentary role. But besides the broadcast booth, Steelers-Browns. Who do I think is going to win? I know the Steelers have a great history when it comes to divisional games. They play with a different toughness. Mike Tomlin prepares them excellent in an excellent fashion for those games. I just don't see it happening. Here's why. I think the Browns take this one. And that might surprise a lot of you, but here's the thing. I know they are limited with Jacoby Brissett, but they have an excellent defense, a good defense. They have a running game that is quite literally right now unstoppable. Nick Chubb is doing his thing, as I knew he would. Let's say that they find a way to shut down Nick Chubb tonight without TJ Watt, which is going to be tough. That's another reason why I'm picking the Browns. Kareem Hunt is right there. Kareem Hunt, who would have probably gotten a massive contract from Kansas City had he not had the blunders that he had and the inexcusable actions that he did earlier in his career. This is a team that's not going to be slowed down in the run game, and you're going up against a team who is significantly weakened when it comes to defending the run. Because the Steelers, as much as they'd like to say they can, you can't replace TJ Watt. That is one of those few positions in corporate America and in sports that is irreplaceable. There is not another TJ Watt on the free agency market. There's not another one on your roster either that is a backup. It is going to be a tough game. I don't see anybody running away with it. I do say Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt running the ball, but not running away with it. I think Jacoby Brissett has been more than capable of facilitating the offensive gains. He's done a good job. He's a backup. We know they're waiting on Deshaun Watson. We understand that situation. Jacoby is doing his job. He's doing just fine for right now. I see the Browns winning this one. I don't know about you guys. One of the games that I'm looking forward to, another one, coming up Sunday, is going to be, I believe it's a Sunday night game, which is going to be excellent. Denver Broncos and a struggling Russell Wilson versus the 49ers and their newly reinstated quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. I know I'm showing a lot of love to Jimmy Garoppolo on this show. I know you may not like it, but hey, he's in the headlines, and clearly he's finding his way into all of these stories. So Jimmy Garoppolo is leading the 49ers offensive front. They might get Kittle back. They may not. Even if they don't, they still have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. They'll be just fine. I personally, right now, knowing what I know, knowing that Jimmy Garoppolo was perfect, right back in it, there was no hesitation, there was no drop-off in talent, I think the 49ers are better equipped to win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if Russell Wilson, after back-to-back tough weeks, and the head coach are coming to the table, are really preparing for this one, and they keep it close. I wouldn't be surprised if they win, but if I'm putting money on this and I'm a betting man, which I'm not, I'd say the 49ers. I'd say they're going to win this one. I say Jimmy Garoppolo has an excellent first start back. I don't see any drop-off. I don't see any struggles, any difficulty getting back into the mix. He proved last week when he walked into that game and scored a touchdown in his first drive, hey, I'm here to stay. I'm doing just fine. My shoulder is doing just fine. Funny how we nitpick certain things and other things we just let it go out the window. Everybody talked about how Jimmy Garoppolo's trade value was already on the ground, and now he has a surgery. Oh, nobody's going to want him. He can't play. Well, guess what? He's doing just fine. Kyle Shanahan thinks he is just fine. Last game I want to talk about, because I actually have a little, not a bet going, but a friendly wager going with a friend of mine, a Green Bay Packers fan. This weekend, Green Bay Packers are taking on the Buccaneers, one of my favorite 4 o'clock games in a while. It takes place at 4:25. It's on Fox. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. It might be the last time we ever see them play each other. This one's going to be magical. This one's going to be one for the books. It is a legacy game. Aaron Rodgers is going to come in even more prepared than he usually does. He's going to be great because, let's face it, Aaron Rodgers could walk into a building, not practice, and still throw for 300 yards because he's that talented. But Tom Brady's the best pre-snap quarterback in the NFL. He does what he does. He's the GOAT. I see them winning, and I see them winning comfortably. I don't know why so many people are saying, oh, there's no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. Tom Brady's going to struggle. Tom Brady doesn't look that good. That offensive line isn't looking great. Let me clear some things out for you real quick. Offensive line weakened for the Bucs. I get that. Nobody's saying otherwise. Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, Cole Beasley, who they signed this week, no Antonio Brown, no Gronk. I feel ridiculous. Who am I missing? Scotty Miller. Plenty of guys who are playmakers. Cameron Brate. He will get the ball and the chains moving. It doesn't matter how glamorous it is. It's clear that Tom Brady doesn't care about that this season, at least to start. Once they get healthy, maybe Tom Brady will go back to throwing 50-yard bombs. But for now, he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to do that to win. He is a methodical quarterback. He played in this kind of offense under Bill Belichick for a long time. He knows how to make it work when it's not sexy, when it's not the big 20-yard play, the big dump off for 15 yards to Gronk. Methodical football, 3-yard gain, 4-yard gain, 10-yard gain, 3-yard gain, 4-yard gain, 12-yard gain. He knows how to play that kind of football. And it's annoying for the defense. I dare to say it wears them out even more when you play Tom Brady like that because he just picks you apart. He's not relying on talent. He's relying on his IQ and the knowledge of the game. And nobody can beat him there. Aaron Rodgers is not throwing to his rookie wide receivers. Clearly doesn't respect them enough. Doesn't care enough about them. He is showing them some big-time neglect. I'd like to see him throwing to them more. Get them incorporated in the game. Build up their confidence. They're guys from small schools that need to build their confidence. I mean, a year ago, what were these young guys playing? They were playing like Wake Forest. Now they're playing in the NFL at the highest level. I think Aaron needs to do a better job of not coddling them, but building their confidence. Give them the ball. Either a short dump off, a slant route, get the ball to them. But I don't think in a legacy matchup, in the last time that we probably ever see Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, that Tom Brady is going to come up short. Or that Aaron Rodgers is going to outplay Tom Brady. Because, by the way, there was a lot of talk about how great Green Bay's defense was going to be this season. Guess what? Tom Brady's defense, the Bucs, is still those dudes. They're still just as great. And in my opinion, Bucs defense over Packers defense. And Bucs offense exponentially better than Green Bay's offense. So, if the Bucs are winning on both fronts there, I don't know why it's not so obvious to so many people. I don't know if people are trying to have bold takes and say that Green Bay's won. Look, fact of the matter is Tom Brady's walking out of this one with a win. He's going to go 3-0. He'll still be undefeated. And for all the stuff going on at home and for him not looking as good as maybe we thought he'd be, hey, he's still undefeated. He's still doing just fine. With that, that is the end of the Benjamin Cure Show. Once again, I am Benjamin Cure. This is the show This is the YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram. I'll post all the clips there for the show if you didn't get to listen to everything. If you want to fast forward and listen to your favorite parts, that's the place to do it. Go on social. Once again, I'm Benjamin Kier. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Week 3 is going to be a very exciting one. We'll meet right back here next Thursday. See you next time.